Welcome back. Today we're going to answer a viewer question of how to use touch input with a mobile device. Gone ahead and set up a couple things for this project. The first thing I set up was I've got 3 different button objects. These are not UI buttons, these are physical objects in our scene that we will be interacting with. Each of these have an empty game object with a box collider and one of the scripts we're going to write on it. Then they have a child object with the sprite renderer. I also have a random empty game object that is going to have our input manager script on it. And I have a global light because I've got 2D lighting enabled in this project. So let's jump into this script. First thing we're going to need is an update loop to detect whether or not the player has touched the screen at all. And that is going to be done using this code right here. So we're going to be using input.touchCount, and we're going to ask if that is greater than 0. Touch count is the amount of touches happening on your screen at any given time. So as long as there's more than 0, that means you are touching the screen. We can save that touch information in a touch struct as shown right here. So this is going to take all of our input touches and save them in my touches array. This is an array of touch structs. All a struct is a way to hold multiple parts of information. We then want to iterate through that array and do something with it. So for example, we could do item.position and we can put this in a debug.log. So we'll see where we are touched. I'm going to save this script. I'm going to come over here. Now we just need to set up our project for testing. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to your build settings and make sure you are on an Android build option. Second thing you're going to want to do is go to your player settings, go to editor, and make sure that your Unity remote options device says any Android device. Now this is the steps for an Android. For iOS, it would be iOS, and then make sure you have it on any iOS device. Then you're going to go to your phone and download the Unity Remote app. It's called Unity Remote 5. It's made by Unity Technologies. It's on both the App Store and the iOS Store. You're going to launch that, and then you're going to press play in the editor. Provided you have no compiler errors, I'm missing a squiggly bracket there. When you hit play, it's going to play both on the computer and on your device. You need to have your device plugged in for this to happen. And then I'm going to go to Window, General Console, just so you guys can see the console. I'm going to clear everything, and then I'm going to touch the screen. And you can see we have inputs now being said. These are the position of all my touches. Now this stuff is very sensitive, so that's why I'm getting so many of the touches. Because every slight movement of your hand is causing more touches to happen, and it's happening over the whole surface of your finger, not just once per finger. Given that we have that information, we can now raycast from our touch position to determine if we hit something. So we are going to use physics.raycast for that. We're going to make a new ray. We're going to call it ray. We're going to reference our camera's viewpoint, and we're going to convert from screen space to world space. So screen space is the space on your screen, like in the real world where you're touching. Whereas world space is the space in the actual game itself. So we're going to raycast from our position of our touch, and we're going to save that information in a hit. We're going to do this right here in this if statement, and we're going to debug out the name of the thing that we hit. So I'm going to save my script. I'm going to make sure that anything I want to interact with has a box collider, which they already do. And then if I touch, we can see it's not going to say in this console. There it goes. It takes a second to catch up sometimes. It was saying it down here at the bottom. Button. If I hit the second button, it's going to say button 1. If I hit the third button, it's going to say button 2. So we are detecting if we are hitting something. Now we just need to do something with it. In order to do that, let's quickly add in a debug.log that tells us if we're hitting nothing, just to make life easy. Then we're going to save our script, and we need to set up our script to actually make our score increase and the ability for us to change the image of our sprite. So we're going to go back to our folder. We're going to make a new script. I called mine coin button. and we need to read in some new variables. I have 3 here. These are the sprite render for the thing that renders the coin, and then 2 different sprites, one for when it is unselected and one for when it is selected. After that, we need to make a custom function that will be triggered whenever we want to interact. So we set up a public void update coin graphic, and then this says if the sprite does not equal selected coin. So the first time this is touched, this will fire. Otherwise, it will not. The reason for this is you don't get like 10 points because there's 10 touches that fire off in quick succession. So I've separated the logic here for increasing our points from the logic here to change the image of our sprite. There's one other script that I've already set up, hinted at right here, my Scoremanager.instance. This uses the singleton patterns. I'll link up above on how to do that. It's kind of outside the scope of this video, but I'm gonna just show this script real quick. We basically have a reference to our score text, we do singleton stuff, and then we update our score by whatever number, and then update the text visual. We need to make sure everything is plugged up, so I'm gonna wait for these scripts to compile. Each of these will have our coin button script on them. The coin is going to refer to our child object here with the sprite renderer, and then we're gonna go to our art folder and drag in the art that we want for each of the slots. If you hold down Control like I did right there, I can select all 3 of them and drag these 2 in for both of them, and then individually drag in the rune slots for the first slot. It's just a slightly faster way to bring in your images. I'll then go to global and make sure my Scoremanager is hooked up to my text, which I already know it is, and then we're gonna hit play. I still have Unity Remote running on my phone and it is still plugged up, so we should see when we tap things, our code should work. Now, the images did not change because I forgot to add something in to our manager. And right now we are just debugging. We need to actually call it. So we can just access the component via get component of the object that our Raycast hit using our hit. So here I'm saying if our hit has a component coin button, then we're gonna access that component and call our function. So let's save it, I'm gonna hit play, and we should see our score increase as well as the coin images change. There we go. It's that simple. Let me know if you have any other questions or if you'd be interested in me going into more in depth of different types of touch interaction, things like swipes or what have you. Hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you in the next one.